Howdys and salutations, y'all! Man, feels like a long time since I've said that. It's only been about a week. But yes, sorry for the wait, both the last week or so of no streams and also a slow start today. Turns out resetting everything after a while took a bit longer than I expected. That is my bad. And you know, when you realize at the last minute you don't have water, I'm not about to come up here and talk for 2 hours without any water. That'd be unwise at the best of times. But yes, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad I'm back. It's good to have y'all. According to my stream chat, the only one watching is me. I don't even have the bot moderator, so either the moderator left or I'm not in chat anymore. I am just going to make sure that I'm actually live, because that would be awkward if I wasn't. And then we will kick off here. So give me just a momento, por favor. No Twitch, not Twitter. Ugh, I need to get off that site. Except for, you know, as Sif streams, in which case you should all follow me on Twitter, definitely. Hundo Percento. Mega Hyper Suprema Defa Watch. Anyway, I'm not entirely sure where that sentence was going. This is what happens when I try to type whilst I'm searching. Oh, interesting challenge. I can have my own, if seeing the channel, I can see that, yes, indeed, I am live, that's good, but it also means I can hear my own voice in an echo, which, my word, that does make it a little tough to talk. And I bet if I turned it up, I'd completely stop being able to hold a conversation. So if y'all won't mind indulging me for just a second, and then we'll get in here, let's see if I can actually complete a coherent thought with the volume up at max, hearing my own voice. So let's see. I'll do the introduction this way. I've got a few interesting ideas for this today, really. I feel like wow, this really is tough. I feel like my style has gotten a little rusty, and not just because, you know, adjusting to digital and all. I think I'm finally getting the hang of the tools, thanks to Sword Temper. Oh no, it's got like 3 levels of echo now. Anyway, I'm just going to power on through. So yes, even I think we've got the digital tools down. I'll probably need a little bit of a warm back up after the past week. Was away on a bit of a business trip of sorts, and unfortunately that means I didn't have much time for art practice. However, that doesn't mean that it's going to take too long to pick back up, I don't think. Yes, we will hopefully finish up the other swords sometime, but it's not a priority. I went ahead and did a little recap post and everything, so we should be good there for now. Honestly, 22 for 2022, it almost feels intentional, except for the fact that it clearly wasn't. But yeah, still getting 22 done, I'm very happy. But back to the idea of today's topic, I feel like my style's a bit rusty, and part of that is because I'm very slow to practice it. As you may remember from the art fight streams, that it takes me quite a long time to do a single drawing. And while that's great, you get some really nice stuff from that. It also means that actually practicing and refining my style is moving very slow, because I'm not doing the repetition to actually get it into muscle memory and to actually build up that sort of, they say visual vocabulary or language, basically like learning how I do ears. The only way to learn how you draw ears, like you personally, like obviously learning how to draw ears in general, you can study anatomy and stuff, but learning how you personally draw ears, the only way to do it is to draw a bunch of ears. And so that's basically what I need to do is I need to practice more. So we've got a few ideas. I've got 2 things I want to do. One, specifically faces. I'm bad at faces. I've got one, I hesitate to call it a style so much as a technique, because it's cute. It's a cute way to draw a face. You saw it with one of the art fight pieces, and with some of the early, on the salt ref sheet on the top right, we had the little icon. And that's what we were doing there, but it really only works in 3/4 view. It doesn't translate to a front-on view well at all. And while that can work, I would like to direct everyone to Phineas and Ferb for examples. Although they make front views work when they need them, but they use them sparingly because it's a more complicated angle for the style. But I would like a style that I could actually use in more poses, and that's not just feeling like I'm making basically a template with some variations. That's not really what I want to do. So we want to do some face practice, and I've got a new trick that we're going to be trying for that, where I can actually show you my refs while we do this. And it's not pure ref. Pure ref is great, but it's not good for web sources, and this is a timed web practice. It's a great one. Second off, once we get some face practice in here, it's time to do some actual full-on style tweaking. So I'm going to try to do just, you know, a quick timed 15, maybe 20, we'll feel it out, art of some characters that are fun. So we'll do a little bit of fan art in just 20 minutes, and then we'll review. And this won't just be today, this is the whole week probably. But we'll be reviewing what we've done, and I'm going to go in and I'm happy for y'all's feedback, but also I'm going to jump in here and I want to see, like, okay, here's what's working, here's what's not, here's what we want some variance on. So that's sort of the plan for the next week. We'll see going beyond that. I will say November, I am still committed to being Blender Month, and so I am going to try to do some practice and revamp for that. However, I don't have the time for it this month because with Halloween I need to make my costume and all of the other fun prep to enjoy, and also I got jury duty at some point, which I'm actually kind of excited about, but like, you know, it does eat time. Speaking of which, next week, not sure if we're going to have a Monday stream. We'll see. But that's okay. We will wing it as needed and go from there. But yes, October, art refinement, hopefully some spooky stuff, maybe some witch designs later in the month. Then November is Blender. But I think I've been talking while hearing my own echo for long enough. This is unbelievably difficult. I should never have kept my own stream open while doing this. It's impossible to maintain a coherent thought, and I hope I made any sense at all, because I'm really not sure. Oh no, it's got like triple echoes now. I can hear the echo of my echo. Okay, that's it. I'm closing the stream. No, I'm still gonna be live. I'm just closing the echo stream. Okay, echo stream gone. Sweet silence. There's not actually silence, there's music playing, but I couldn't even tell over the sound of my own looping voice. That was something, all right. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna hydrate, I'm gonna pop on a reference to draw some faces, and we're gonna do a few timed faces. And in each time unit, I'm vamping a little bit because we'll probably start in the 8:15-ish time. Drinking some water. Okay, and in each time unit, what we're gonna do is, oh yes, I moved everything. Okay, no, it's in the right spot. Cool. But we're gonna do two things. I'm gonna try to draw them sort of in that current cutesy style that y'all may have seen in the past for Salt, one of my OCs that I'm happy with from D&D. And then two, I'm gonna try to go and just say, okay, let me just draw this with no intentional style, no intentional like tweaks or anything. If I were to just go and using what little I know of like anatomy and structure and everything and try to render this person, what's the result? And we'll build from that. I think in order to figure out where we need to improve, we need a baseline. We need to figure out where we're at. So that's the plan for this stream, as always. Backseating is very much welcome, encouraged. Feel free to heckle the heck out of me if you so desire. Actual advice is obviously appreciated too. But, you know, whatever you want to do. I am here, I am learning, I'm not an expert artist. I'm hoping that y'all are learning along with me, and I am open to critique. I wouldn't be doing this live if I wasn't open to at least, you know, feedback. I feel like that would be a mistake on Twitch. It's like live streaming Dark Souls. If you live stream Dark Souls on Twitch and you like expect Twitch chat to be anything other than a pile of backseaters, I have some bad news. Because, oh, holy cow, Dark Souls backseating gets so bad. Because everyone has their favorite build, and they seem to think it's the only build that works to beat the game, and so as soon as the streamer struggles on anything, they're just like, see, you need to be doing it this way. But all of the builds kind of work, and so people give really conflicting advice, like, put it all into dexterity and dodge everything, no armor, whereas others are like, put all of it into armor and vitality, you don't need to dodge, get a shield. And so then you get poor streamers who are being pulled back and forth between people who want different builds and end up with just crazy stats. Don't do that to your Dark Souls streamers, y'all. Be nice to them. Be the best you can. I'm not saying you have to be super friendly if they're being a pill, you know. But yes, okay, anyway, I've diverged off topic again somewhat. So, new resource for today. I'm going to go ahead and make it visible. So anyone may have caught it at the very start if you happen to be looking. This is called Sketch Daily. It's a wonderful website. I will warn you, it does have like full-on gesture references, which are you can have clothed or unclothed, so just be wary. I don't want to direct anyone to the site and have them not know what they're getting into, but we've got it filtered. Everything's going to be a-okay for Twitch here, and for my own mental sanity. And what we're just going to do is we're focusing on faces. So I've got a little timer set. We've got a 5-minute timer that'll tick down and automatically move to the next image. That way we don't have to have a separate timer app. It's all good to go. Hopefully y'all can sort of make that out on stream. I know it's like a little bit of weird how the window's capturing. I wish I could. I need to figure out how to adjust what of the window is captured. I guess I could just do a screen capture. We don't need to be tweaking that today. We can mess with that more later. Because right now we need to actually get started on practice. I have procrastinated long enough, methinks. Hold on, first up, whoa. Okay, well, I'll just save my warm-up doodles and close that. Cool. Now, let's see. I think I want to vector everything in this one. And for the sake of consistency, I am going to go back to the millipen for now. I do want to get better at the G pens and some of the others that have actual tapering. You can see, like, the line sort of, like, narrows out, as opposed to my millipen, which, even at a big size, consistent all the way through. I love the millipen. With my inability to control tapers very well, I suspect that's a skill issue and not a tablet issue, to be truthful. But only practice will fix that. But right now, because I can't control them real well, having a consistent line is nice. And while it's good to practice multiple things if you can, like good make them at a time, right now I think we need to be focusing on the important parts, which is going to be drawing these faces in a recognizable-ish style. So let's get started. I'm gonna get a fresh one with a new timer. Okay. Now let's see if we can't. First off, let me actually use. I put together a new color palette. I made this one. The top colors aren't supposed to go with each other. It's supposed to really just be these nice greenish grays with one bold color each. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, good news, y'all. I can still kind of draw a circle. Amazing what a lack of practice will do. Okay, so assuming that I'm trying to stick to sort of that like cutesy style that I had for Salt, which is what I'm going to do for a couple of these just as we're getting started. A, because it's an easy style to do, and so it's nice warm-up. And B, I think I've kind of made that a little too long, frankly. And B, because, well, okay, really, it's just A. It'll be good to analyze how the style works with, like, actual human faces, as opposed to just made-up ones. Although, really, wow. I've never realized how bad I relied on muscle memory for this style until I tried to just draw it mirrored. I'm so used to just being like that, and that, and that, and that, and then it just sort of turns into a thing. Although that's not the best thing. So let's give this another shot with like a little actual thought put into it. Mainly because I think I want an undercurve on the nose a little bit. I am going to overthink it a little. That's not intentional. That's just well, I need to get back in the groove, and pre-groove me overthinks the heck out of everything. I'm sorry. It's just the way I am. We'll try to sort of mirror the nose shape roughly, but still in this style where we then just bring it back in like this, and then sort of curve it up. We've got kind of neck style. And collar kind of does this. That's actually neat. Let's see. There we go. Okay, and then this style relies so heavily on eyes, so I'm going to try to match the shape, not the size. And then we're going to try to match the expression too. And usually this side ends up cutting out a little bit anyway. I'm going to use the hairpiece here. I've always got like bigger ears in this style, but that actually kind of works because that means some of them can be covered by this hairpiece a little bit. I say hairpiece, that's not the proper name for this at all, and I apologize for that. Okay. Sort of goes up like that. Kind of one form here, one form back there, and then this knot kind of has three sort of shapes to it. There's this underband and then two sort of circles for it. That's okay. I'll bring this edge in a little bit, as I tend to do. The smiling, but like, Interesting. We'll see. Right. Like, it's a knowing smile, this expression. And I am going to bring this up a little bit, both because I think it fits the actual person, and I think it fits the rest of what I've ended up drawing better. So yeah, you can see part of why I want to revamp this style is it is rough around the edges. Like, it doesn't adapt to actual people very well. Let's see. Very sketchy, very, oh, and it took me almost 5 minutes just to do this. That's a poor showing on my part, frankly. Really am rusty at this point. Let's see. We can, you know, get like a little bit in here to help make this recognizable at least. But like, y'all see what I'm saying. Like, this is fairly rough around the edges. Obviously, like, we would want this all to be. I could spend 10 minutes just doing the bends and folds up here, which is fun, but that's not really what we need. Let's see what the next one we get is. Oh boy, and then, you know, we'll just use this one as one more example of where this style isn't going to work so well. Let's see. Because I'm going to have to, like, even then the style, like, I literally can't format it quite the way I expect to, so I'm going to have to fall back on some of my other art, like, knowledge, which is limited, as you may have noticed. Let's see, sort of like that. But then thinking about, like, face level in this style, it's kind of gonna... something like that. And the nose is gonna land roughly on this line. The nose is like the defining thing of the face on this, so I'm not even sure where it's gonna go from here. Let's... I'm not just gonna grouse about it, I am gonna try to actually make this work, don't get me wrong. We're gonna jump in here and we're gonna see if we can adapt the current style to this front-on view, because that would be worthwhile. But then we're going to work on maybe building a new style. Wowzers. This little cutesy style is great when it's great. And it's real rough when it's not great. You've always got like the undercurve when you're looking at it like this, and you can sort of see it in the reference too. There we go. That's not even a smile. That's just like kind of a vaguely serious look. That'll do. Trying to just block in the hair shape here, because again, the actual head shouldn't be this circular. That's just kind of a placeholder because it's easier to draw a circle than the proper, like, vaguely aegis shape that a head is. But I need to then get rid of the circle when it's no longer relevant, you know? And he's got like this hat thing going on. Oh, right, the neck. Hold on. Let's figure out where the neck's going to connect on this. We can see it all the way back to the ear on this side. Cool. The narrow necks of this style aren't going to be doing it any favors. That's fine. Oh, I didn't even get eyebrows in the other one. What a mess. Let's try for some slightly more confident hat lines, shall we? I say, while making the least confident hat line of the night. Awesome. Okay. So at the very least with this, I mean, we could give him a little more chin definition, but at some point it's just going to be jarring. And make it look completely disconnected from the neck. Yeah, let's get eyes at least. Sort of looking upwards. I mean, like, I will say about this, I can at least represent the direction of the pace fairly, like, better than I anticipated. It's not good, but it's better than it could have been. He also looks really old in the drawing. I'm not sure why. I think it's like the width of the face. A little hard for me to figure out exactly the issue there. Yeah, that works. Let's see, we still got a minute. If I were properly doing this in the style, then I'd have these as sort of like arcs coming over. And then just kind of brush it over that way, even though that's not exactly what it's doing. Sort of got that. Yeah, so like, obviously there's some room to improve with this. Like, that nose looks crazy boxy. So I think that's enough of this one. I do want to revamp that style a little bit. I like it. I think there's ways we can tweak it to make it a little more effective in different situations. Removing that line helps a fair bit, but like it's still... Like, if you did a portrait of someone with this style, it wouldn't work. So it's not as versatile as I need it to be. And the level of detail obviously shifts a little when I'm doing in different views. So, let's do something different then. Alt style, rather than just sort of messing about with those, they've been a nice warm-up, but I think we're probably good on that. Let's see what happens if, whatever the pose is, I'm just going to take the 5 minutes and try to draw it using the actual proportions and stuff that I learned way back when for who knows what. So we got about 3 seconds left on this one. Revamp some water. Okay, here's an actual face. I'm going to zoom in a little bit too. Give me a little more fine control. Not that that's what that's what the issue is here. Okay, so we got 5 minutes. I'm not going to rush it. By which I mean I'm going to draw a halfway decent circle. Good enough. It'll do for our purposes. Now the first thing I want to figure out is the angle of the head a little bit, which seems to be... Let me just draw a line. I've got the reference... Okay, so I can draw it like near the reference for y'all too. Well, not really. There, you know, so I'm trying to make sure that the angle I'm getting here is aligned with the tilt of the head, which it is. So we've got that, because it's real tempting to accidentally like underestimate how tilted it is, and then you end up losing the expression of the pose. Okay, and so then thinking about this, there's a thing called the Loomis method. If you've ever looked at Proko's videos, Proko's a famous art teacher. He goes into it in great depth. It's an excellent intro of just one method to break down how to draw the face. Obviously, you can kind of approach it however you want. There's not an objective, here's how to draw the face. It's a very, like, molded shape, in that there's not a lot of, like, hard edges you can use as reference points, so it's a little harder than a cube. There's not just obvious lines. And if you do just draw the obvious lines, stuff ends up looking horribly wrong. So this is one method to sort of take some of that pain out of the equation. Let's see, so we connect the bottom of these. So step one is sort of chopping the edge off a little bit, because like we said, it's not, human heads aren't actually a sphere. And then continuing this angle of the line down. So we've got these chopped at about, I think it's like a 1/6 above and below, so basically 2/3 in here. So 2/3 between these lines. And then I'm going to try to continue that same distance down. Her head looks like it's not quite as tall as average. I don't think you know what average is, but the reference average from wherever they took that. And so I'm not going to take this down quite as far. Also, I'm going off memory, so like this is definitely not like the proper way to do Loomis. I highly recommend looking at an actual guide for that if you want better details there. It's one method, it's a good method, not the only method. But I do recommend learning it right. But yeah, so we take it down about the same distance, then we take this out. Okay. I'm gonna go for a darker line weight to do some actual like shaping and then figure out where everything lands, because I'm pretty sure I've got the lines wrong here. I do think this is roughly the right place for the nose. But like I said, like if you just draw the dark lines of the nose, it looks stinking weird. So I'm not gonna just do that. I do think that I kind of want to capture where the eyebrows are going first, but like let's do that with the actual shape it follows. There we go, and we can get the eyes in here. I'm just aligning them relative to the nose, which again, if I were doing an actual proportions tutorial, this would be really dumb. However, I'm trying to do a what is my current if I were just told to draw a thing in no style, what would happen, which is something I like to do periodically, is sort of like figure out what's my current default, what's my baseline. I find it's a useful way to sort of regroup and figure out where your style's been going. Oh boy. Apparently my style's been going, I don't remember how to draw noses. Okay, so we'll just do this. Mouth is going to be like between this line and the bottom, about 2/3 up. Oh, let's see. It's kind of got like a little knowing tilt there. That's fun. And we got kind of the below and above. Not perfect, mind. A little darker on the ends. Okay, let's try to get the face outline here in the last minute. Because it's not, you know, her face is actually like a little wider. She's got more in the cheeks. Which is, again, that's not good or bad. It's just an observation. And I think most people do have a little more cheeks than just this flat angle that I've been doodling. That's more of a reference line anyway. So that's going to come up to about the edge of the eye, as I recall. And this is the part where I always end up accidentally making people look too old. It's because I put too much emphasis on the chin. And like, yes, there is emphasis there, but it's not as much as I ever put on it. Okay, we've got 13 seconds left. I'm just going to rough in hair locations. Hairline sort of does this. Got the one kind of silhouette in the face. Braids there. Always sticks out above the head, not just on the head. And then we'd have like braids down, something like that. Okay, so you can see it's rough. We'll do another one. Hopefully I won't spend so much time just trying to draw a stinking circle this time. And I may drop, like, while I'm doing this roughing in section, this is fine, but I may drop it down to a slightly different line width when I'm trying to do details. That's not a bad idea just in general. Okay, so trying to get the angle of the head, it's tilted more away from us, so we'll see this side circle more than the other one. And again, if you want to learn how to do that sort of thing, the answer is practice, but if you don't know what you're looking for, saying practice isn't helpful. So my advice is go watch like Proco's tutorials. They're free on YouTube, which is amazing. And this one's really just like kind of level with us. They're free on YouTube, and they're going to explain this from a professional view. I'm just explaining this from a see what another beginner can sort of do, observe someone who's not perfect at it on the first go, because I assuredly am not. And this is definitely still like way stylized. Whatever I'm doing here, I'm getting the face proportions like really short, and I'm curious as to why and what I'm doing. So that's interesting. Let's see. That's roughly the line there. Hey, welcome. Oh, y'all give me just a second. Okay, y'all, I'm back. Sorry about that. I'm giving myself 10 seconds back on the timer for that. We're going to pause the timer for 10 seconds. And use that time to sort of roughly figure out this chin. There we go, that's better. Like eyebrow level, that's this, and then this is sort of chin. The mouth is going to go here. Okay, and then I think let's kick that timer back off again. Sorry about that. Always good to see the folks. They were kind enough to bring me dinner today. I will definitely be saying hi to them after stream. Reminder, everyone, don't forget to eat. It's a silly thing to say, except for the fact that I've done it. Let's see. This angled noses are much more interesting to draw, although still easy to end up making them look rough and old. Okay, so I think this is enough for the structure lines, other than I know the chin's going to come down sort of there, and kind of there. Got the collar. Man, I'm definitely not nailing these proportions. This looks like a stinking space marine. Okay, but let's see if we can't do a little better than that. There's still time. Not if I give it give the nose bump that much emphasis. So that's the other part of it is like, yes, I could try to be exactly realistic with the nose, but you also want to sort of be trying to capture like the feel of the drawing, not just the literal look of it. And if I'm super realistic with the nose and not other places, it draws too much attention to the nose. Practicing how to draw lips would not be amiss. Yeah, good enough, whatever. Moving on, I can't spend too much time on that. Okay, so nose, eyes are sort of at the peak of the nose and roughly at sort of the cross section here. This is a little high up, so that's fine. And eye shapes, I'm always amazed at how much eye shape varies. Fascinating, really. And of course, if you get the details of the eyelids, it's going to add more. See, the nose is sort of going to continue up into the eyebrows. Or in this case, somewhat like that, more like that, really. And then this one's going to foreshorten. Well, not foreshorten. Well, yes, foreshorten, but that's not the helpful term for it right here. Basically, we're seeing less of this side of the face, so it's going to end up seeming like it's going closer to that edge. Right, so she's looking that way. The lid facsimile, eyebrow is not exactly in the right place there, but that's okay. 52 seconds. Okay, so let's see if we can't get face outline a little better. Cheekbone. Curve in. Something like that. Okay. Top of this goes up here. We've got the hairline. I feel like I've gotten the forehead a little squat, but that's okay for now because I think this hair may actually end up being bold enough to help cover for it. Let's see. So on the inside, where the hair is framing the face, it sort of comes down like this and follows right along the neckline. This one, it even comes out over here, sort of like this, but it's like fairly tame over there, whereas on this, it really does like have a section that spikes up and over, and then it's got sort of the midsection that's like a little more tame. Okay, so hold on, let's go back to that one and pause on it for just a second. Let's see how we did. Like, obviously not perfect, but what's good and what's bad? I do think the thinner lines for that second go was the right call. I think that let us capture a little more detail. Let's see if I can zoom in on this one a little bit. Not really. Okay. Whoa, that certainly doesn't help. But like, this is recognizable as the person, but you can tell, like, I'm not really using the layers the way I should. Let's see if we can't use layers on the future ones. You can tell the head's like a little too short. So one key secret to figure out why it feels wrong, but may or may not, like you can't tell why, but it just feels wrong, is the eyes are vertically at the exact center of the head. So like the distance down to the chin should be the distance to the top of the head. Now, not the top of the hair, but also not the hairline. We're used to measuring from the hairline, which is why the eyes tend to not look like they're at the middle of the head when you're thinking about it, but they are. So is this distance should equal this distance. And actually, let's do a little proper test real quick. Yeesh, not so much of that. Let's do one here. Let's do one here. I'm going to pick this line up and put it next to this one. Yep, and you can see, like what I couldn't eyeball, you can tell that there is a difference there where this section should have been taller, basically. Which I sort of felt when I was drawing this, and you can even see in the underlying circle is sort of squatty. Those underlying structures being off does come back to bite you if you're not careful. I'm always surprised at that. So yeah, that's sort of the deal there. So that's something to watch for, is make sure we try to get a little more proportion there. But this was, like, honestly not the worst, and especially not for just like a quick little 5-minute thing. Let's see. I'm definitely going to need to do more face drawings, and I think we'll do some more of those after a quick pause. However, I'll be back in just a second. Howdys and salutations, we are back. Okay. Sorry about the pause. Sometimes gotta go drink some water though. Or in this case, say hi to your brother. Such is the way of things. Okay. So, keeping looking at this, here's what we're gonna do next. I think we're gonna do one more of these quick 5-minute ones. Mainly because we got a sneak preview of the next image and I think it's a face-on one. Yeah, okay, that'll be good. We need practice on that. Next up, but before we do that, I want to take stock and really focus on what's off here. Which parts of these are off-putting and would need review. Because after our next 5-minute one, we're gonna do like a slower 15-minute, and really like not just trying to gauge the art, but trying to intentionally be like, okay, we saw what was off. Let's see what we can improve. Because step 1 is figure out where we're at. Step 2 is think about where we're at and sort of figure out what needs to be improved. And then step 3 is to take a little more time and to actually do it. Actually practice those improvements and test things. That's sort of how I'm trying to refine my style anyway. Obviously, everyone's got their own approaches, but this seems to, I have found it's helpful. His long-term goal is we'll make some intentional tweaks to the style. The most obvious one that I can think of right now is I think the eyes, like the irises are too big because we're not getting enough detail in here that's actually showing like the shadow and all the shape inside the eyes. And so when I'm just outlining the eye, I'm getting way too much eye space. So either I need to spend more time on detail around like eyelids and such to fill this space, or I need to make the eye outline smaller to represent the actual eye. So let's say either smaller eyes or more eyelid detail, more lid detail. Because I think that's a big one. It's a little hard to tell with the underlying structure lines. I think the face shape actually ended up being okay minus the height issue. Next, forehead. And I always end up with way too much variance on the forehead heights. Like, that's just, I don't know what I'm either way too tall or way too short. I know it's a weakness of mine and something I need to refine. By the way, if you're in chat, or you want to be, feel free to shoot me any suggestions too. I am all ears. Obviously, you don't have to. This isn't like a school exam. You're not required to participate. I'm not grading anything. But if you want to, feel free to throw something in there. The more the merrier, I always say. Same goes for YouTube comments if you're on the VODs, by the way. Even if it's been like 10 years, like, yeah, throw it in there. Maybe I'll get a notification and it'll revitalize my love for art. Who knows? Not likely, but you never know what could happen. Let's see. By the way, I will say it has been awesome streaming and knowing that at least some people might watch these. It has definitely improved my art enthusiasm. Because used to, if I'd taken a week break like this, like a week off of not drawing, I would have probably been like, I'll get to it later and not come back for another 2 months. And like, it has been fun immediately having enthusiasm for it again. This has been great. So I highly recommend if you're trying to figure out how to practice, and you're just not finding the internal motivation, that's fine. Brute force some external motivation. Do it live. Do it, like, post something on Twitter or whatever social media platform is big of the day that, like, hey, I'm gonna post art like once a week, and then that way you've shouted into the void. Someone might be listening, and you don't want to well, not disappoint that someone, but you don't want to be a liar. At least that's how I do it. Maybe guilt tripping yourself into doing art is the wrong approach, but it's not really guilt tripping when I want to do it anyway. So it just helps to have someone else who's like watching for it. Keeps you responsible. Like, it's easy to meet a deadline for someone else, but it's hard to meet a deadline that you place because you're willing to push it back forever. Everyone's different. That's my experience. Okay, let's look for other areas real quick to tweak on this. The head shape felt square when I was drawing it, but I think that's because of this bit in the back, and if the hair was actually finished, it would cover that. I will say, this part is not quite accurate, but I haven't figured out how to get the nuance to have cheeks that look good. I'm just going to throw this out here. It's a lower priority, but with more time, it might be something I can get right. The problem is it's really easy to make someone look old if you do cheeks here, and you get it wrong because it looks jowly. Like, if I do this, Okay, no. I do have to actually try a little bit, I suppose. But as an example, we're doing this. We do like kind of a wider cheek, and then like wide down here. Big eyes, mouth. Well, that looks like a beard because I've gone and done it. So maybe this isn't something I can do with a quick facsimile. But when you have something like that, in my experience, it always ends up making it look like you're drawing someone who's older, which is handy to know if you're trying to draw someone who's older. Put emphasis on the chin and on these, make it look like the cheeks are sagging a little more. But if you're not trying to draw someone who's older, it's not helpful. So let's say, but be wary of jowls. And do be careful drawing someone who's older with them anyway, because if you're doing it intentionally, you can do it way overkill, and then you end up looking like a pit bull, which is not the goal. Frankly, I don't want it to look like the animal or the singer. Although, I feel like the animal would be the lesser of two evils. Anyway, so yeah, we'll keep an eye on cheeks. This one's actually pretty decent. This one actually also, okay, these aren't terrible. Obviously, line weight on the face is something we want to be careful about. Again, we've got the issue with eye shape in this case. Eye shape and size are both causing some problems there. This one's got a bad nose outline. Front view noses are the worst. I'm wondering if maybe simplifying to something like that, because trying to get the 3 bumps here always ends up looking like stinking cauliflower and terrible. Is there like, should I emphasize like the bump of the nose and imply there's more of an angle than there is? Or like anime does, where you just do that and you hope people assume that 2D is actually 3D. That one's not good. Let's see. Could really lean into it with something like that. The problem is also a lot more views than you think you can actually see the underside of the nose. Which is something almost like that shape, but slightly more pointed. It's really complicated to get. And if you're in 5 minutes, then it's not usually worth spending the time on. Noses are complicated. I think noses are the biggest reason faces are hard to draw. Like mouths are complicated and eyes are complicated. Like they're complex, but they usually can be represented with lines. The nose is really hard to represent because if you actually look at someone's face, there's almost no hard edges anywhere on the nose. Like you can see the edge of an eyeball, you can see the edge of an eyebrow. With a mouth, like it's very clear where the color changes. The nose, it's all just stinking shadows and shades, and like if you're not careful, that's really hard to represent with lines. That's what's always given me problems. Okay, didn't even get to the neck on that one. That's an issue in its own right. This one, the neck is a little too wide. It's not terrible. I think it just needed to continue downward a little longer. Neck length. And then obviously we kind of rushed the hair. If we were doing this better, we'd actually have like at least it did cut into the silhouette there a little bit, so that was good. But we'd want these curves to sort of have the actual counter curves they have in the reference, and to not be quite so sharp and blocky at this end. You can get like some, I mean, even that's blocky, but it's still more of a hair texture. And this, like that really. So just, basically it's more just be aware of time for hair. I'm not going to get into the mouths too much right now because they're not great, but they have both accurately been facsimiles of the like actual expression. And that's pretty much my only goal with the mouth, is to make sure that it causes the right facial expression. So like, I don't want to tick up there because that would, well, that one would make it look mighty whiplashy, but like that would imply a different expression from this. And I think right now the simplified, I'm going to stick with the simple mouths for now, for these 5-minute ones. Because it's like the swords. Like, at first with the swords, it took me like 3 hours to do complex shapes, and then with enough practice and getting the hang of it, we could do the 30-minute ones. I'm still at the phase where it's going to take me 3 hours to do these properly, for whatever the relative time is. So I don't necessarily have the now, jeepers. I cannot write and speak at the same time, apparently. But yes, basically, I don't have the practice and muscle memory to do all those in the short time frame. So with 5 minutes, I've sort of got to choose my battles. Where is important to emphasize? What can we hold off on for now? And with the 15-minute one, we can dig into some of those other issues a little more. I guess other note we could sort of get on this one is we really wanted to get lighting representation. That's not technically wrong, although it does look like something out of Hunter x Hunter, or Hunter x Hunter, although not the right way to say it. But again, we're not going to mess with lighting and shade too much right now. Let's see, I'm just going to call this one 5-minute rest. Rest practice. Practice. And then let's just go down to this corner someplace, and let's do our third one. What do y'all say? I'll stop talking, I'll stop yapping. I think it's been good, worthwhile yapping in this case, getting a good idea of where I need to improve, what we're going to tweak on this next one. Although, this next one's front view, which is one I particularly struggle with. So we'll do it, we'll get some feedback, and then we'll do the longer ones. And that may be what we do today, or if we have time, we'll jump into some of the full-on style practice with fan art, which I'm actually rather excited about. I picked a few characters in advance that we may jump into, and we'll go from there. And that's not just faces. I'm trying to figure out how I can do full forms. So it really does depend on the time we have left. But let us... first off, let me save here. We go to the next one, and timer has begun. Okay, clicking back in here. So once again, he's got a fairly narrow face, so I'm going to get my circle in here. Ooh, lovely voice cracks. I need a lot more water, apparently. And then I'm going to make the edge cuts like a little bit harsher. They're still getting roughly that 1/6-ish. Maybe we need like a little more up here. That's fine. Maybe that'll help us avoid the flat head in the long run. We've got our 1/6. I guess we did need that center line. This really is like kind of a front-on view. I realize I've over-tilted this a little bit. And exaggerating angles is actually not a bad thing to do if you're trying to show an expression, but it is something that should be done intentionally. I'm going to cheat a little bit and just scooch that. That is part of why I love digital art. Like I, in terms of pure joy of just the doing it, I find physical art to be really, really relaxing compared to digital. Digital feels like it requires so much more focus. However, when you're learning and practicing and trying to tweak and adjust things, well, basically whichever one's comfortable is useful. But when you're doing a final image and you really need to actually tweak and adjust things, and it's not just throw stuff on the page, man, it is so nice to have the benefits of these tools. So his face also looks a little tall, which is fine. This means that I'm going to want to be aware of that and maybe even extend this section a little bit. Because you've got the, ideal proportion, quote-unquote ideal proportions, the default ones you go with when you're not sure. And then you look at the model and you're like, okay, well, that's not quite matching reality. Let's tweak it to fit reality. For example, this point is not quite as low down as this point. And while there is sort of the rectangle here, it does land back up there. Okay. The face is still tilted ever so slightly. The main change being that we can see this ear, which roughly, like the connection point is roughly at the eye level. That's what I'm going off of there. This one's not even going to be visible, and for the most part, that's the only way we're getting any perspective in this at all, is just that ear's not going to be visible. Okay, front view noses. We practiced this a little bit. Let's go to a darker line weight, thinner line weight. See, this is bottom of the nose is going to land way down. You know what? I think the up arc is the way to go. Sort of do an imbalanced one there to imply that they're not solid lines. And then the eye level here. So we've got our point. And we talked about trying to go smaller, represent the actual eye, because since we're not catching eyelids. But I still need to make sure I'm getting my angle right, because the actual eye line is like this. So got our point up. It kind of curves down. Smaller though. something kind of across, and then small curve there. And then roughly same deal, about nice width away over here. I mean, they ain't symmetrical in the slightest, but that's okay. That. One eye. Another eye. That's looking a little bit crazy. That's okay. The problem is, like, taking my time, I'm just not fast enough at this to really get it good. Like, the mouth line is ending up at the bottom of the circle because we extended the length of this, so proportionally it's down a bit. Really just like kind of a smirk. Very slight bend to it. Okay. His hair is going to be easier. We've got sort of the hairline up here. So I can sort of see that it's like the actual roots there, and then it's curving over past that. Got kind of layers of curves. Kind of curves up. So we have a little time for a little more hair detail. Goes down to the ear, but not really past it. Light hair part there, and it goes over. Okay. So that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and clear out the external circle bits. Oops. Some of these lines. And once again, interesting. Interesting that the characters I draw end up looking old. Also, the eyes are too low again. Or too high again, rather. That's interesting. Maybe it's because I moved everything else down. Let's actually try some tweaks with that. Well, I guess we haven't really got the time for it. Okay, well that's interesting reference images. Anyway, okay, so let's see on this one. Obviously, having the neck would have been a bit of additional depth that would have been good. Just penciling that in, I'll use the yellow on this, that's fine. Come back to 3. This one's sort of here, sort of there, and then sort of there. Got kind of the collar coming through. And why is fabric got to be so much easier to draw than people? In all fairness, it's probably because I'm not trying to get the same level of detail on this fabric that I'd be trying to get from a person. Okay, so interestingly, the face is still a little bit too wide. Like, that's interesting. So let's see, width too wide. I should have shaved even more off on the edges there. Or, perhaps more importantly, I think it's mainly down here. It sort of bumps out, but like, I think if we'd done thinner there, it might have been better. It still looks older than the reference, though, which is fascinating to me that that keeps happening, and I cannot pinpoint why. I think the nose representation, obviously it's not ideal. I could try putting something like that there, but well, with the gold it looks like a nose ring. But actually, yeah, that's not bad. Okay. The mouth is good. Once again, the expression I think is the right mood. Just good nose. I think we've got a bit of a loose style there we can work with for the nose. I'm trying to figure out part of it. I wonder if part of the age thing is the low forehead. No, because really that would be a high forehead thing. Part of it's just the flatness of the forehead, I think. Like, looking at the reference image, the forehead, you can see the actual, like, tilt of the head below it. It's still fairly square, but there is a curvature to it, like that, and then sort of across, then down. Whereas this one, it's like maybe too square, so maybe what we need is like a little curve there. So yeah, maybe boxy face is an issue. We'll leave that note. their forehead. Let's see. What else could be causing the age difference? I think the wider jaw is part of it. Although, I mean, this guy has a fairly square jaw. Just... I'm really trying to figure out what is causing that. Could also be eye detail. Obviously, the pupils, the eye shapes were not good. Like, the eyebrow is too thin, or not too thin, too short. It should extend further here. Eye shape really ought to be more of... I'm not sure I'm going to even be able to render it this second time either. But like, the eyes look like they're unrelated to each other when the pupils should, and the irises should be the same size. Maybe just a hint of that, because then that sort of implies the reflection over here too. Again, with the time limit, there's limits to what you can do. Where that? No, maybe actually emphasize, add eye edge shadows. And lid. So again, we talked about two possible ways to fix the eyes. One of them was to draw them smaller, and one was to do more detail. I attempted the smaller route with this, and I don't think it worked out well. A, because I didn't actually do it well, and B, because in the rush from trying to get the sizing right, I ended up botching the details. Like, this one has less detail, and it looks much more believable. Even that one, like, the eyes are less off-putting than this one. So, oops. So let's see. So I'm going to say hint at pupil, otherwise there's too much detail there. And it becomes too much of an eye draw. I mean, the eyes are already eye-catching, so we don't need more of that. I do think these grays work fairly well together. We'll have to keep tweaking that. Okay. Next up, and thanks for the image generator. I'm not mad. It's fun and silly. The next one's the one we're going to be doing 15 minutes on. So I'll have to reset the timer twice because I don't want to reset the generator thing. We're actually going to do layers. So I'm going to go up here and do 2 layers. 15M outline, or baselines rather. Baselines. We'll have our 15M details. And hubris compels me to make a 15M colors layer. I doubt we'll get to it, frankly. Exceedingly unlikely. But we'll give it a shot, you know? Okay. We've got this paused. Once again, I apologize. I gotta run to the restroom real quick, and then we'll come back. I think we're well enough warmed up, and we're aware of what we want to improve. We'll get our line weights going. We'll start with a 4 for the baseline, 3 for details. I think 2 for details is also part of why this one ended up looking a little scratchier. And we will go from there. So I will leave y'all with this. Well, I'll leave you with this awkward image, but I'm also going to go to the pause screen. So I'll be back in just a half a second, y'all. Thank you all for your patience. I am sorry about that, but we are back at it again. Or if you're watching the VOD, I assume you skipped the about 5 or so minutes there. I don't blame you. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to hide this player. If that's the case, welcome back. This is the point where you should click on to resume playing. So, we will continue on with this, I suppose, and I think that we'll do some more of the actual character drawing next time and some tweaks there. One thing I do want to practice later on is what I call small faces, when you're doing like a full character drawing and the face is just in the distance, and so you just want to like represent it simple and quick while still having the emotion. Let's see. Not entirely sure what this is expressing. I feel like mildly annoyed and or hungry. But like little faces like that are really fun to doodle. And actually, it's probably not a bad idea to practice some of them as practice with the big faces, because you know which details are going to be the most important. This feels like a barely keeping it together face. Proper anger. Like anger with eyelashes. That just looks pouty. Okay, anyway, see, this is the point. If you can practice them in that hyper-simplified state, then you're saving yourself time for later. When you're trying to do it with all that detail, that is something I hadn't thought of before. Something we should do. So, tiny faces, also on the drawing engine. Pop those out of the irrelevant folder, though. Jump back in our baselines. Warm up my hands. By the way, I know we did a style study way back when from HarpyG. Fantastic tiny faces in the background, really expressive. That comic is masterful at them. Thing I ought to review again sometime. Like the principle of minimum recognizable detail. What is the smallest amount of detail you can put in to still like have it clear what's going on? Okay, that's enough ums out of me. I flipped through my sketchbook pointlessly. Let's get in here. So this will be our 15-minute face. We can take things a little bit easier. Really, the reference it gave us? Well, as a joke, I could try to draw the one that's currently behind the prop weapon, but I feel like that would be counterproductive to actually learning anything. Whoa, okay, yep. Back in the program, forgot how sensitive it is. Cool. But this is an interesting angle. Gives us a lot to work with. So, I'm going to try to get a more proper circle and not one of the squatty ones that have been plaguing us. But that's reasonably equidistant. I mean, I could always check it with a ruler or any number of things, but I'm fairly confident that that's fine. I could draw 2 lines across, grab one of them, rotate it 90 degrees, but also that would be a bad use of time here. So then looking at the face angle, there's not really a side-to-side tilt, but we are kind of at a 3/4-ish view, so going from the top, try to cut it here. Basically, the way to figure out where this line should go is look at where the nose connects relative to the whole face of the head, the whole face. So assuming you've got your circle, and like including hair and stuff, because this is just eyeballing it, so I'm not doing it super exact right now. So we've got kind of the hair on this, and I need to figure out where the nose is relative to the width of this whole mass. Mainly the mass of the head, of course. Like sometimes hair can be wild, but like when you're trying to eyeball against eyeball, it's useful to have the same reference points. So comparing the eyeball on this to the eyeball of where to put this line, thinking the nose is there, that means that from our center point, this really is coming out to about here, which is actually roughly 3/4 view. Nice. And so that's what I want to try to do with where the nose point is. I think that's a useful reference. Write that one out. Nose, dent, 3/4 view. vertical reference line. I think that's useful tips and tricks. Anyway, let's zoom in on this one a little more. That wasn't helpful, was it? I zoomed in and back out. Okay. So we still need to think about our circles. And I've realized that I have given this a slight head tilt that's not in the original image, so I'm going to have to be wary of that. The original image does have a little bit of one, but this shouldn't have too much, so I need to make sure that I don't overdo it. Once again, we're trying to cut this off, so we've got roughly 2/3 inside the circle and 1/3 outside of it. We're not quite there. Once again, biased towards giving more space to the bottom. It's an interesting thing to note, and that's something that I personally need to be wary of. This line across as though the circle was over there, even though it's kind of not. Scratchy, but that's fine. This is the lineup layer. Got this, and then roughly at the halfway point through, got, I guess, not really the bridge of the nose there, but that's okay. We've got the eye line, and yeah, that eye line and bridge of the nose aligned. And once again, don't let your brain trick you. Your eyes are at the halfway point, which of course means they should actually probably be lower because this still needs to continue downward. Well, downward here along this line. Got this, and then roughly this distance here, same amount down below. We'll try that. Okay. And the hair is going to cover up some of this chin, so I just need to make sure that the sort of re-entry angle towards the hair is good. Obviously, like, I want to make sure that's roughly right. So there should be some down here. It feels like this ought to be coming out a little differently there. That's interesting. That's a good warning, even though that's not visible in the picture. The fact that that looks so off is a warning that something else is off. So I'll have to just, that should really come down like that. That feels like it's, oh, the big smile. Okay, yeah, big smile means wider jaw, means that is actually probably going to be more. Okay, lower. Cool. Totally forgot about that. And I'm just going to temporarily on our structure line do this. We'll try to actually capture like cheek motion and stuff in more detail on the next round. Oh, jeepers. I've spent a little too much time on this. Let's figure out bridge of the nose ought to be there, going down to roughly this line. Mouth is going to be wider. So we're going to have something like this. This is not an eye, and I should not confuse it as such. The eyes are going to be on, like, roughly below this line. This is really more of an eyebrow line. The eyes are going to be more like here. And, okay, so that's 5 minutes. Hairline is back up there, so this really ought to... I've over-tilted the hairline is what I've done. That's fine. Okay. That's enough for the bases. We will make that a little less visible. And we're going to get to the details at a 3-point and a darker line. So, now that we know roughly where stuff goes, we need to actually put it there. This nose on sort of curves up like this. That's the important part there. 3/4 view noses tend to be a little easier because you've got this nose silhouette you can work with. But even so, got to be a little wary that we're getting the width right. This amount of time we can actually attempt a nostril, although the fact that I'm moving slowly means that's risky. And normally I'd want the smile line, but with the amount of detail we have, including the smile line, is going to make this person look like they have wrinkles. Like already they look like that. So I'm going to leave it out for now. If we include any, it'll just be at the edge here. Okay, so looking at the mouth, we can't use any of the mouth styles we practiced because this is a totally different expression. So we're going to have to get a little bit creative, but know that because this is 3/4 view, it's not going to be symmetrical. It's going to be something more like this. It's not going to be perfectly even across. That's just, it's honestly, it's a lot like the eyes, where if you're looking at it straight on, it will be a full circle. But if you're looking at it from an angle, it actually ends up being something more like this. Mouth works the same way. That said, I need to make sure all of this curve up a little bit over. I want to make sure that this smile, I think the teeth are that. Not careful with them, teeth can get real creepy in a hurry. For example, I think I've made this mouth too tall. That's fine. That. Okay, I don't want to fidget with this too much because this is unexplored territory for the most part. We're going to have to mess with it later. That's just the way of things. More effort, and proportionately, that's not where we need to spend our time. Nose is probably still looking a little too narrow. If I can add this other one over here without it being distracting, that will help. That's better. Okay. Eye placement. We have so little detail to go off of on these eyes. This is a really tough reference. It's not using the skills that we practiced, and it is using some that we didn't. We'll at least get the eyebrow location in roughly there. That's good enough for that because we can use that edge as a reference point for the outline of the face, which should come in a little bit right where the eyes are. Whoops. Not a ton, but a little bit. Then you can sort of get this cheek smile bumped out from that and starts curving in below the nose, really. Honestly, the way this works, kind of got something like this almost. So distinct. But this line coming down from the mouth, forming the chin, actually it's kind of become its own line. Wary though, because if I make this too wide now, they'll look old. Which again, for an older ref is good to know, but for this, I need to make sure that this pinch is a little higher, so it's really part of the expression and not just part of like face width. And I'm going to try to get roughly the hair locations in, keeping in mind that they're all going back to this hairline, even if this is quite likely a wig. Oh, that one really terminates right there. Okay. Interesting. Then we've got kind of this arc that actually helps us define the upper curve of the head a little bit, which is nice. But we can still see that there's hair out past that. I guess we've got the cat ears. Sure, why not? Let's see, we'll just do that. Because I really want to get the hair outline over here right in the 5 or so seconds we've got left. Okay, 5 more minutes. Okay, so we can sort of see the way the hair pinches. This one comes down, and it comes way down. So let's go ahead and get the neck in there where it's seen, although it doesn't escape the hair. This one seems to almost be connected to a line aimed towards the ear itself, and then this one is from the actual like back silhouette. Got this sort of stray strand down here, comes up, then like you get the main bulk of the hair here. A little more curvature to the whoops. A little more curvature to that, basically. Spending too much time trying to correct the curvature on that. Whatever, it's close enough. We're down to 4 minutes of our 15. Okay, and then the hair just like barely skirts around the silhouette peak here. Part of why I don't want to use the cheek as reference until I've got it in the correct place relative to everything else, like in the correct size there, because otherwise that would throw off our hair locations. So I got a few strands there, it's a little hard to get details. A shoulder. There we go. Okay, so that's roughly hair locations. Now let's see if we can't get the actual eyes right. And then fix the mouth maybe. At this point I'm going to just move the baselines out of the way. Let's see. I guess one way we could show this is if we wanted to show the expression a little bit, we could add that, which I'm not actually trying to draw the cat whiskers. Those are like lower down. These are more like the lines showing the top of the cheek. They should be curved slightly, and I know they're not technically visible, but representative-wise, they're very helpful to show us, like, oh, okay, this isn't just flat and they've got a really wide face, they're actually, like, smiling. Most of this is going to be covered by eyelashes that are coming out from the top. You can see a little bit of eyelid below and above. Maybe a little bit of eye in there. This one, let's see, it's going right to the edge. We've got the up here, down. Got a little better visibility on the actual edge of the eye here. Again, a lot of this is going to be obscured by the eyelashes. Then, once again, we've got kind of the... Don't want to make it too far from the eye or else it looks like they're baggy eyes because they're tired. Okay. Sort of. No, I mean, you can actually see it right there. There we go. That's not ominous. Now let's fix the mouth, because this is clearly not quite working, and I think a fresh start on it, now that we've got the cheek locations in better, is going to be good. So, let's look at the full upper bound of the mouth. There's a little section that we can see here because of the foreshortening, and it's going to be centered under the nose on roughly that line from the nose to the chin that we had drawn in our baselines. There you can see it, but we're a little off of it. This one comes all the way out. We've got the whiskers, but it only really comes out about to halfway below the eye. So that's the reference I'm going to use. It's mostly flat. It comes out halfway between the eye, as in like this. Is roughly the distance that it lines up with vertically, and so that's my reference point. As with all of these things, the secret to proportions is reference points. Be proportional objectively, although it helps if you can understand how to do that, but it does have to be everything definitely as the other things in the drawing itself. Let's see. Hey, I like this one. That kind of tapers up. Got the lips a little more too. That helps give this some form and temper the power of the teeth. Because teeth can be overpowering. Level. Knowing that middle gap is there, we can sort of just extrapolate a little bit. I guess we can imply the gums a little bit too, but I find that tends to not work in people's favor. You're implying the gums. And I got just like a shadowy one down there. That looked terrifying. Not great. Okay, so that was 15 minutes, and I'm not sure that the result was great. Oops. Okay, that reference is gone forever. Awesome. That is what I wanted. It's not gone forever. There's only like, let's see, just do heads. Do female appearance. That limits it to 229, so we could eventually just cycle through all of them. But this is a dumb way to do it, so we're not going to do that. Okay. I'm just going to close the web reference temporarily then. Let's look at this. Let's see what we got right, what needs to be improved. Biggest issue, I'm pretty sure, is obviously mouth detail's not great. I think mouth needs to be a little bigger and a little bit further. Well, still not sure what the issue with the mouth is, to be fully honest. Maybe like a little bigger. Let's do some notes. I knew colors would be hubris. And then notes. Okay, so I think part of it maybe I overdid on the chin verticality. I think that would be one tweak, and then the mouth should probably be a little bit bigger. Let's see. I do think the mouth angle is good. I think that we actually caught that really well. Curved mouth, higher chin. Okay, so that's good. We took the note, we were trying to adapt the chin, we overdid it on that. That's fine. Other issue, frankly, the face is tilted one way, and then I've got the eyes tilted wrong. I need to bring, oops, this eye needs to go down a little bit, as does like the pinch in the edge of the face. Let's see, move eye and socket, because that's what that pinch is. It's your eye socket down to match this other side. Right now, what we basically got is a face that's like doing this. You'd expect it to be at like an angle, but then the rest of the face is just like this. And so it's a little jarring because it looks like the eyes are like at the wrong angle. And so what we really need is to sort of adjust it so that the eyes are roughly at the same angle. Let me actually write that down rather than just doing it. So eye angle wrong. That's what we're saying here. Could be that. But otherwise, like this, the nose wasn't quite as wide as the reference, but was close. The hair positioning is much better. Like the actual size of the head looks right. Size of the forehead looks right. Let's see. Good forehead. Eyes. And good head width. Head width is hardest on a front view, as you may have seen with my practice earlier, but also just in general, that's what I have found to be the case. Head width is really hard on the front view. Oh, I hope I wasn't too quiet all this time. Sorry about that if that was the case. Hopefully this is a little better now. And I need to get better volume tweaks going on here. And maybe some slightly better audio equipment. I mean, this is fine. This is fine. Good enough for now. I do think having this hairband actually helped me identify where like the hair, like the edge of the head was, and that was helpful. Hair's good here. I know that the shoulder kind of continues like that, so that's fine. Actually, I think it continues slightly more like pretty much right to the edge of it. Something like that. But yeah, okay. The point is, this looks like it's plausibly a person other than the eye placement, and they're just making kind of a funny face. And frankly, that's an improvement over the past ones. Now the question is, how much of this could we actually manage in the 5-minute drawings? And the answer is probably not a lot of it. It took me 5 minutes just to get alignment, and I still got some of that wrong. So that's something we'll want to think about for next time, is how we can improve that. Let's see. Doop-a-doo. Other things, like obviously keeping out, this was a difficult one because it wasn't really matching, like we didn't have the same eye shapes we were used to, we didn't have the same mouth shape, but positioning and stuff, it was still good practice. So, let me think. How would we want to do this? Right, different layers now. It's really more something like that. Okay. Next thing, we've got 30 minutes left. Let's see if we can't. I don't want to jump into the fan art / full-on style tweaking yet. However, I think that'll be a good one for tomorrow. That'll be a fun stream, really. So make sure y'all come back for that. However, what we should do that's a little bit of fun practice, fairly light, and will actually be useful for tomorrow. Let me throw a fresh layer on here. Let's do some actual tiny face practice. I'm not trying to necessarily capture the appearance of the face with this one. I am just trying to capture the expression. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get my 4-point, maybe 3-point. Yeah, 3's got a nice balance right now. We're gonna go back in. So the reference again. This is Sketch Daily, by the way. Nice reference. We're just doing heads right now, though. I'm not vouching for any other parts of it or anything. Although again, it's a great drawing reference if you need gesture practice. But yeah, just doing heads. I'm going to put this one at 2 minutes because we're not trying to do a bunch of proportions. And honestly, 2 minutes might be too long. Let's do 1 minute. We're doing this quick because we've got a simple goal here. Okay, our simple goal is to capture the feeling of that expression. Let's see. That one's fairly simple. Now let's see if we can't also get a rough facsimile of the person while we're at it. One was fairly simple to do. Because this alone doesn't tell me that they're tipping their hat to me until they've got the actual, hat to tip. And one hand up on it. There we go. I think that captures the fact that they're slightly smiling in the photo. I think it captures what it needs to on that. Now, honestly, we had time to spare. Could have spent more time on the hat. Not that it needed to. Okay, this one. Man, that is a vague expression. They look like someone who's trying to put on a polite face, but genuinely doesn't really want to be there. Like that. Like, it's not a hostile expression. They're not like... No, there's even like a little bit of... That's fair. It's like almost a grimace, but not quite. Like, they can't grimace at you. They're just having to do this. Let's... Nope, that's more pitiful than they can actually manage to look in their current position. Okay, those first brows, just the simple, completely neutral is what we need. Oh, pouty face. That'll be an interesting one to attempt. First off, roundy nose. Big eyes. But also paying close attention to make sure you're actually watching the pout. Just sterner eyebrow for that. Oh, sorry. Let's... Not quite perfect, but it's okay. Okay, let's see. Yeah, like the eyes seem like they should be so happy, but it looks a little bit, once again, kind of like a forced smile. Which again, it makes sense. Reference images. You're being posed in awkward poses and all that jazz. But it's sort of like a... Oh, that looks bad. Actually, I feel like that kind of captures it. Well, it's not really the smile, though. It was better before. Slightly pained. Okay. There we go. And neutral expressions are so interesting because you end up projecting onto them a lot more than you realize. I think actually Alfred Hitchcock had like the best thing on that. This one to me looks slightly skeptical. Like, really? Like they're not annoyed. They're just like, really? Most of skepticism gets shown in the eyebrows. I'm actually gonna, much as that is the actual eye shape, I don't think that it's a good representational eye shape. That said, it does need to be clear they're focused on you. Didn't really get the head tilt that sells it. Okay, interesting, a 3/4 view. Oh, okay, that's an interesting one. Because the sort of pursed eyebrows are really what's selling this. That's concern about what's going on over there. The fact that the hair, or in this case, not quite, but like that this is here kind of sells the sense of concern. I don't know why. It's just having the flattened forehead there, I feel, is selling it. Also, I love his facial hair. Holy cow, that's so cool. Fun fact, with mouth expressions, by the way, I didn't do this justice at all. Oh well. Oh, it's this one again. See, you can get repeats. So this one, once again, I think falls into the pained smile category. But the more of the emotion is told in the last little tiny edge of the mouth than most of like that's where the important part is. Like smiley face, that one actually looks like a speaking voice, but a smile that's like this looks like a grimace. Doesn't look happy at all. Whereas a frown versus like this is like mischievous. Like those little edges really do wonders. Like that's neutral, but like that's not neutral. Oh, crud, there's 4 seconds left. That looked like Ted Cruz. Oh, this one. Not to get political on here. Not saying anything political. So, but like this is a good example. Like a lot is said in just sort of the side of the mouth there, more so than like the overall shape. Granted, that's part of the overall shape, so that's obviously going to be part of it. I'm exaggerating the expression a little bit there. It looks like she's intrigued by something over that way. Fun fact, by the way, with eyebrows, if they don't look like they could be a solid line in the middle pointing towards each other, you're not drawing them right, and that's probably part of the issue. Like eyebrows like that are a little jarring, but still believable. Eyebrows like that don't look like eyebrows anymore. Anyway. Okay, here we go. This one. So the eyes are doing a lot of the speaking here. Is the like sort of half-lidded eyelids. That's going to be interesting. Nope. So this one's tough to get. The expression I'm getting is ending up looking like vaguely flirty, and that's not what we want. Maybe emphasizing the bags under the eyes is what's going to sort of sell that this is kind of a tired look. Even then, it ends up looking kind of determined. There, that kind of got it. Oh, how am I going to do this? This is an expression that benefits from a lot of additional shapes. So I guess it's still fairly doable. Not even sure we need the eyebrows for this one. I think the cheeks are part of what makes me feel like he's actually like holding it a laugh with this kind of face and not actually just sad. Not quite sure how to capture that though. Just the off-centeredness of it. Didn't quite nail that one. All right, that one is a look of concern. Something has happened over there. But a lot of that's from the body language of the hands. Clutching at something. Scarf in this case. Okay. Mostly the hair is doing a lot of the speaking there. Leave that as is. Okay. So we got kind of head tilt like that. That's interesting. Okay. Oh, that's sending him looking smug. That's not the look we're going for. We get the raised eyebrows. We're going to end up doing that with the simplified eyes. So that's not perfectly capturing these. Just, you know, bit by bit with details. But trying to do what we can. 30-second ones would be an interesting challenge too. Okay, so interesting trick to note. If you want someone to look disoriented, that's the way to do it. Let's see. I want pretty neutral eyes there, but just make it clear that they're facing the person, and that they're glad about this. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Subtle and not happy. These subtle, like, disappointed faces are really tough for me. I figure I got the time. I can try to do like a quick rough of the hair. Why not? Apparently the answer to why not is because that's actually kind of tough to do. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Oh boy. That's kind of a tough one to read. The makeup and or Photoshop makes those eyes look disproportionately large. But also tired. Something is off about this picture. Can't put my finger on what. I don't know if it's been retouched or something. Interesting. Interesting. Kind of grimacing into the sun, but still, I don't know. Looking forward to tomorrow or the day ahead. Not sure why. This seems like a mildly annoyed, like resigned by the sun, but not like doomed to a bad day face, which is interesting. As someone who hates the sun and would love to not have to stare at it so much, that's unfair. I rely on the sun for my existence. I don't hate it, but it's hot and it's not fun to stand outside in it. There, I think that pretty much captures it. Signed. Not like in a bad mood, but just sort of like, yep, this is a day. And see, like with these little faces too, you can get like way more abstract with noses and stuff. Maybe I ought to try that on the big ones. But like I have found more success with it. There is a subtle smugness to this one. Interesting. I'm trying to tell if this one is annoyed or like looking down somewhat condescendingly at someone. Not sure why I'm getting the condescending vibe, other than the sense that their like face is actually tilted up a little bit, but then they're looking downwards at something, which is interesting. I could lean into that vibe a little more if I wanted with the glasses. Like even the rims kind of sell it. Just the shape of the rims functioning as eyebrows, I mean, sort of in the drawing. Yeah, that's fairly jolly. Let's see. Oh, and y'all give a shout if I accidentally like draw behind the reference photos. That's probably not helpful for y'all. Not like a yeah from talking. It's just a genuine grin. Emphasizing like, dimples, I guess, a little bit. Oh, that makes you look crazy if I'm not careful with that. And that just looks like the outline of the eye. No. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. I think we got about 5 minutes left. I may wrap up on these. Let's do a recap. Let's take a moment and do a recap. And I'm going to close that out. We'll use our last few minutes to sort of see if these still are recognizable as the expressions now that we're at distance. Sort of like a subtle greeting. That feels jovial to me, but like the quiet kind, where they're a genuinely nice person, but like they're not gonna make much of a gesture towards it. Just a tip of the hat. Mildly annoyed. That's the vibe I get. Annoyed and actually annoyed enough that they're about to say something. This one, it looks super pouty, and yet it's still less pouted than the original. So there's room to improve the pout. Pouty. Pained smile. I think that one actually really captures pained smile. I don't know what that is. Oh, tilt. It says tilt. Learned. I think we lost it a little with the eyebrow. Um, let's see. I saw a frog on the ground and is worried it's going to jump on them. What was this supposed to be? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, and those were those. Coming back here. This one looks vaguely off in the distance. It's not smug, but it's a sense of like, yeah, that's right. That's sort of the vibe. It's like, yeah. I think anyway. It's a little hard to tell. This one looks so pained. I'm not sure what. Maybe it's the bags under the eyes. They look so tired. This one was obviously the scrunchy face. I didn't quite nail the like slightly not actually sad approach of it, but I think it's a good facsimile. This one was concerned from a distance, and I think the hands would show it more, but the face actually gets it okay. The eyebrow especially is selling it. And actually the hairstyle kind of works for it, the like hiding behind the hair almost, but that's not facial expression stuff. It's just worth note. Whoops, I accidentally added a nostril. I don't know. They seem happy about something. This one seems disappointed about something. Disappointed. And feel free to correct me in chat or YouTube comments or what have you. You're welcome to use whichever of these you like. This one looks like they're plotting something. I like this one as just being resigned. Oh, and here was the subtle smug, and then the not subtle smug. Which actually, the original of this one wasn't as disdainful as I've ended up drawing it. And then this one looks crazy, which it didn't mean to, but I think a little more detail was needed before we added the under eye bumps. And adding those too soon puts way too much focus on them, and it emphasizes that, wow, this is disproportionately smiling. I don't trust it anymore. Okay. Well, then I think what we can do is let's just take a quick look-see over what we've done. We've got our 15-minute one that had some issues but is recognizable. Mainly cheek positioning, cheek too high, obviously. Moving the eye socket down would solve that. Then we've got, let's see, our 5-minute practices, which the hair on this one is turning into a Crucible Knight from Elden Ring at the rate it's going. But I think we learned a lot. Just reviewing the proportions that we need to pay attention to. Gonna have to pay closer attention to eye line in the future. I got it. The eye line is right here. It's just the eye size and shape is bad. Same for this one. But you know, we're learning. And then the early warm-ups that were sort of in the style that I've done Salt. This one's actually not terrible. It doesn't look like the same style at all, but it's not terrible. And this one's also recognizable. But then again, even vaguely recognizable is an improvement over where I started, for sure. But there's still a long ways to go when it comes to this sort of thing. I've got more practice needed. I'm sure y'all do as well. So I think that we're going to wrap it up here for the night so y'all can get to that or get to sleeping if that's what you need to do. It has been an absolute blast. Thank y'all for coming out. If you missed the first part, we will have the VOD posted pretty quick on YouTube, and you can check, all the typical socials, Twitter, etc. If you want. Feel free to drop a follow if you enjoyed. But remember, don't stay around too long. If you're just watching people practice, you're not actually, like, you're learning tips, but you're not actually getting practice yourself. So make sure y'all get out there and actually do some art. That's my tip of the day, which is counterproductive. But yeah, don't let me hold you too long. Y'all get out there and keep going at it. Have a good one, y'all. Good night.